Hi everyone, I hope you are all well. In this video, I will be making a revisit to the iPhone 3GS, which dates back to June 2009, and it is 11 years old. So to start this video, the iPhone 3GS was one of my favorite phones, and even now, to some extent, the design is one of the slickest looking iPhone designs I've ever seen. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let's see what this phone was all about. When you come across this phone, the first thing that stands out is how elegant the white color looks on the 3GS. Keeping in mind that phones in 2009 or 2008 were mainly phones with lots of buttons and removable batteries, which in my opinion led to design flaws. The iPhone 3GS came in two colors, black and white, and was released a year after the iPhone 3G. And also this phone did not have any design changes in comparison to the iPhone 3G, and it did come with a physical home button, but not like that was anything new for its time. This might be a personal opinion, but just take a look at the simplicity of the phone. Obviously this was not a perfect phone, but back in the day, there were no way in the world where you could get a competitive phone that looked as good and at the same time as simple as the iPhone 3G or the 3GS did. Fast forward to today, almost all smartphones, including the iPhone lineup, have something in common, which is the screen, size, and ratio. You rarely see a smartphone with a physical home button anymore, and that's mainly because the screen ratio is increasing as we are progressing towards the future. Although in my opinion, the iPhones are still a bit behind because the screen to body ratio can be decreased if the notch is a bit smaller. But we will leave that for a different topic. By the way guys, if you are enjoying the video, make sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. It will be a great motivation for me to make more videos similar to this. So let's move on. After using the iPhone 3GS for a while, the first thing that I noticed was how small it is. It fits easily in pockets, and yeah, this phone was built to be used with one hand, and comparing it to my other rather larger iPhone, the iPhone XS Max, I was a bit shocked on how small phones were back in the day. So in 2007, the introduction of the iPhone revolutionized the phone industry with its design form factor, and one of the main factors in that was the physical home button that we don't see today. Also, the iPhone 3GS had a 3.5-inch screen, but I will explain more on that. It also came with 256 megabytes of RAM, and it only came with a single camera. I'll go more in depth on the camera later as well. So when the iPhone 3GS was first released in 2009, it was shipped out with iOS 3. However, the last version to support this iPhone was iOS 6.1.6, which was released in February 21st of 2014. This means that this iPhone was supported for updates and security patches that lasted a period of 5 years. Keep in mind that very small numbers of phones have that kind of update support nowadays. I mean, even the new iPhone lineups do not have update support that lasts that long. In 2020, the only thing that this phone is capable of achieving is running its stock iOS apps. For example, like the phone application, the photos, messages, etc. all run perfectly fine. However, if you try running an app that was installed from a third-party source like the App Store, it will either close manually because it's not supported anymore, or it will be so slow that it will make you want to break your phone, and I'm seriously not joking. Other than that, the iOS 6 was the last version in which design, dynamics, and the user interface of OS or iOS looked realistic. That's why this version was my favorite. However, after the release of iOS 7 and so on, the looks of the iOS completely changed. Also, multitasking runs perfectly smoothly on this iOS, but only for stock applications, not third-party apps. Although the only application that would run decently from the App Store was Instagram, and my username is in front of you if you want to give me a follow. Moving on, I'm surprised how Instagram is still running smoothly on this phone that's almost 12 years old. Photos load pretty quickly, everything seems to be alright except for chats, because back in the day, in this version of Instagram, chats were not supported. Other than that, everything seems to work. Phone calls on this phone will get the job done, as they are made for that purpose and don't really require that much processing power. Although I have to say, because this phone is so unique, making phone calls with this phone out in the public really draws some attention to you. By the way, the 1420 mAh battery life on this phone stands out, as it survived for more than 1 day with me. One of the most remarkable unlocking methods that we got used to was slide to unlock. This feature was there from the release of the first iPhone OS 1 until the release of iOS 10. I was personally a bit sad when they removed this feature, but then that's not the only thing that Apple took away from their consumers, as they always tend to make radical changes. By the way, I wanted to show you how this phone deals with application launch. Therefore, I managed to run through a few apps. One of them was Facebook, which is ridiculously slow because it took around 57 seconds. So I guess I proved my argument about App Store apps not being able to load on this phone. I also tried running the YouTube app on this application, but before we get to that, I have a lot of phones laying around, including the iPod Touch first generation, which is almost 14 years old. So let me know if there's another phone, brand, or device that you want me to revisit by commenting below in the comments section. So like I said, I tried running the YouTube application here, but unfortunately the app no longer supports this version of iOS, and when I try to open it, it just closes. And also I tried to run videos through Safari and Google Chrome, but it looks like this iOS version or this iPhone does not support any sort of video playback anymore. So let's talk about the screen on this iPhone. It is a 3.5-inch screen with a screen to body ratio of 50%, which is unbelievable in today's standards. By the way, the last iPhone to even have a screen to body ratio that's close to this was the iPhone SE, which was released in 2020, and that has a 4.7-inch LCD screen with a screen to body ratio of 65%, which is one of the few, if not the only smartphone of 2020 with a bezel of this size. Alright, now we are done with this screen. Let's talk about the body dimensions and the shape of this 11-year-old iPhone. So this iPhone weighs about 135 grams, and the dimensions of the phone are 115 by 2.44 by 0.48, so it's quite small. And back in the day, there were no nano SIMs, so this only supports mini SIM cards. Oh, and also, there is no LED flash on this phone, and no secondary camera as well, and the only single camera on this phone shoots 480 pixels in 30 frames per second. All in all, the camera was good for its time, and what good is a camera test if I don't show you some pictures? So I took 3 pictures on this phone, and it took around 5 minutes. However, the process that I had to take to import the pictures to this video took well over 30 minutes, mainly because all apps are no longer supported, and there was no way for me to send it to another device. Long story short, I had to install an app called Viber. It's like WhatsApp, similarly. I installed that application and used my numbers so I can send that picture to my phone and then import it to the video. So guys, that's about all for today's video. I hope I brought some good memories back to you, and I hope this video was enjoyable. If it was, subscribe to the channel and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you can be notified whenever I post a video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.